Change now. Ha! Now I can hear myself. So I'm very happy to be here. My name is Sedera Ranaivoarinosy, and we're here to talk about responsible travel and an inspiring journey. So basically, to talk about responsible and sustainable tourism. And so what does that mean exactly? Tourism, it's a tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impact, addressing the needs of visitors, industry, environment, and host communities. So that's the definition that's given by the World Tourist Organization. Um, and so, why are we interested in that at all? As environmental and social crises worsen, obviously, we need to change the way we travel and how we integrate sustainable practices that we might have had in our normal life and also in our time off. And it seems that it's a sentiment that's shared by a lot of people. According to a study by Booking.com in 2018, 87% of travelers want to travel more sustainably, yet yet 43%, so that's quite a bit of them, say that they never or rarely or ever manage to travel in that way. So the goal for the next hour and 15 minutes is to do our best to give that 43% of people solutions that they can integrate and put in place so that they can reach their goals. Um, and so to start us off, I would like to welcome to the stage Jonathan Reyes of Fairbnb.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, now we
Hi,
can hear you.
well,
We'll wait for the end of the jingle
okay.
before we start to speak. So, Jonathan, you are the co-founder of Fairbnb and its current vice president. Fairbnb, as its name implies, is often described as the fair and ethical version of Airbnb, so where you can book accommodation as a conscious traveler to what you call fair hosts, and then 50% of the fees then are redistributed to social and community projects. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And so you've built your model on a cooperative model. And so the idea is to involve local communities, to involve local stakeholders, elected officials, a lot of different ambassadors that you have in your project. So can you tell us why this cooperative model is really important to you and to your model of fighting gentrification and, as you say, touristification?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. And yeah, regarding the specific question, we emerged indeed at the beginning as an answer to all the problems that the current massive industry was creating, no, in terms of touristification. So we do it by basically empowering local communities in shaping the model of tourism they want for their territories and making them the, the main actor on shaping the tourism model. No? We do this through our main 5 pillars, we call them, within Fairbnb.coop model, which are, first of all, transparency and lawfulness. We want to make sure that all our offer, all our hosts, and all the services we offer through the platform are compliant with local regulations. So through our local partners, we get in touch with local authorities, we collaborate with them to make sure that this happens. On top of it, we have the second pillar, which we call the local sovereignty of local communities on the technology. Basically, what we want to make sure is that local communities' voices are heard and that they can have a voice on how the tourism model, the tourism and the short-term rental industry is managed in their cities or their territories. Basically, what we do is that the local communities can add additional policies to the local regulation. So, for example, in the case of Venice, I think we have our ambassador here somewhere, but they said it's okay, of course, to be compliant with local regulation. It's okay to be compliant with one general rule that we have for touristic destinations, which is one host, one home rule. But they said we want to go beyond. Venice is in a critical situation, so we want just hosts who can demonstrate that they are residents of the city, on the city for a while, to avoid typical investors that buy a house and put them on these platforms. The third pillar for us, and this is crucial in our model, is the redistributive model. You mentioned this. We donate for every booking half of the commission to fund community projects in every place where you are traveling as a guest. And also, we create local employment, so part of the revenues are dedicated to pay for the work of the ambassador managing the operations. The fourth point is cooperativism. We are a cooperative because we want to make sure that the stakeholders in making the project possible are participating in the democracy and in the ownership of the platform. And then the last pillar, the fifth one, is what we call regenerative tourism, and is making sure that we promote good practices that go beyond sustainability or zero impact, but really making out of tourism a tool to really improve the places we visit and to support the communities we meet. This happens not just through the redistributive policy I mentioned, but also through really educating our travelers and our hosts to promote sustainability practices.
Great, thank you so much. And so you've existed since 2016. What were the reactions of the market and of users, local authorities, when you first came up with this solution? And what has, in these 5 years that you've existed, what's evolved, especially since the COVID-19 and health crisis?
Okay, yeah, this is a very interesting question. Well, it's true that we have several years of life behind, of experience behind. But since we were really structured as a company, it happened in 2018. So you can imagine that COVID had a huge impact in our life, no? But before answering to the COVID part, I will tell you, how the different stakeholders of the ecosystem react. I think the project, many of the stakeholders involved, they really, the feedback we always get is that they were really expecting something like that. For example, from the activists' point of view, we get really good feedback, a lot of involvement of local partners around the world, mainly in Europe. Also from local authorities, we have really good relations, and because they see how this model could really improve or support them to mitigate the problems of touristification. Also from the hosts, we see that many of host associations are already tired of how other platforms are treating them. But at the end, to be super clear, our project has inside also a lot of complexity. We are at the same time a project that emerges from an activist approach, but we also want to make business. We are a global technology, but we are very anchored through local communities. So at the end, there are some complexities there that emerge. And for example, talking about being very clear about local authorities, we get their feedback, their interest, their messages on how interesting our project is for them, but they don't publicly support us. They always talk about the need to be neutral in front of the market. For example, I personally think that being neutral is not always an answer when you are having an industry that is having a huge impact in the life of people who needs to leave their houses because they cannot afford it anymore, because tourism is having an impact on the price of rentals and these things, no? So there, I think that we may need more public support and also that public authorities taking position in this, no? In terms of COVID, I must say we had, of course, it had a huge impact in our operations. We just launched the platform a few weeks before the COVID started, so it had a huge impact. But it was really useful, I think, to also make all of us think and see the huge impact that the tourism industry was having in our lives, in the planet itself. So I think it started promoting, creating awareness on how we travel, also making us aware that there is a lot to discover close to our hometowns, and you don't need to travel to the other part of the world to discover things. So it was really useful to brought awareness and to bring a lot of local partners, even investors. So in a way, it was really good to also rethink ourselves and push and promote our model and our initiative. Yeah.
And so to go back to your previous point, do you have a local authority who did step up and say, well, we support Fairbnb?
The only place where we have like an official collaboration is Genoa in Italy, Genova. And this is the only place, but I mean, I cannot like now tell all the stories we are in the conversations we are having, but we are talking to many municipalities, but there is not like a clear public support, and I really think that we should, or they should, we should work together on this.
Okay, well, public authorities present or listening, you have heard the message clearly. And so in fighting gentrification, touristification, wanting to create a regenerative, redistributive model, that's a lot of things to tackle at once. And so you are now, well established in Italy and Belgium, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Well,
it's where we have more presence.
Where you have the most people. So how do you measure your impact? How do you know that, what are the things that you use to know that you're in the right direction towards those goals?
Well, I mean, when measuring our impact, and I imagine your question goes there, no? We are not just measuring the impact in terms of revenues or as a business, but for us it's also crucial to measure the redistributive power and the regenerative power that we are creating as a platform in those places where we are present. So when talking about redistribution and regeneration, we measure, for example, first of all, the local communities that we are activating, so our network of ambassadors, as we call them, the cooperatives that we are creating in different countries to create employment there and to manage local operations, as I mentioned. So this is crucial for us, the community side, the local community side. And then also, of course, our capacity to fund community and sustainability projects there where we are present, and also the amount of resources that we can leave there. And also, our model is framed like within the framework of SDGs and donut economics. So also understanding how much or which specific sustainable development goals we are supporting through the projects we fund. And there, well, we have now like a network of around 42 local communities working around Europe, and we are present. We are right now like structuring 7 cooperatives in Europe, in 7 national cooperatives in Europe. And we have 18,000 registered users. And well, we are starting to fund some projects in these places. But as I mentioned, we are still an emergent project. COVID had a huge impact on us, but well, we are there. We are doing it.
What kind of projects have you managed to fund so far?
Well, we have very different nature of projects in our platform, because at the end they are selected by local communities in every city, in every place. So at the end you see that they respond to the context, to the needs of these places. So for example, in Venice, you will see that we have projects that are more connected to heritage, to really taking care of the city, of their heritage, promoting awareness around it. For example, in Granada, I remember that there are projects like more connected to keeping the public space alive through playing on the streets, associations really supporting children playing on the streets, these kind of things. In Valencia, for example, I remember, and this is something that is common in many places, projects connected to helping refugees. We are, for example, partnered in Spain, in the whole Spain, with Refugees Welcome, so these kind of things. And in general, what I really think is that, and this is like a general policy we have, our project, our ideal social project we would like to promote are those promoting social housing. So really contracting the effect of gentrification and touristification. Yeah.
Okay, great. And so you were mentioning that you are an emerging solution right now. So what do you need today for Fairbnb to move from that status to a larger scale, and for what needs to happen industry-wise so that this model of regenerative redistributive tourism can be a larger part of the norm?
Du coup, dans
Well,
un
I
peu moins de 5
think
minutes maintenant,
well, there are
on
like
va avoir
very
les
different
deux
ways
autres
that
intervenants qui arrivent.
people can
C'est
really
ça,
join
ok.
this adventure. And of course, we are
Ouais,
looking for
ouais, ouais.
local partners everywhere
Ok.
to join us
Voilà,
as partners to help us
il y aura,
activating the project in in their cities or in their
donc
territories.
il y aura un jingle
So local entrepreneurs are really
entre
welcome
deux.
to
Hein.
join
Et
this.
puis, voilà.
And we are also looking for, as I mentioned it before, not to collaborate in
Tu peux me répéter?
in a really close way with local authorities, with governments that really support and this regenerative
Ok, pour l'instant,
tourism
bouge pas.
model, no?
S'il faut, je te préviens.
And of course, we are looking
Ouais,
for
ouais,
investment.
ça se pose.
We are in this phase still growing. And of course, we invite everyone to travel with us, to host fair travelers through the platform. And so this is it. And also visibility in forums like these ones is really important for us. And I really
Alors nous, on est d'accord, du coup,
appreciate
c'est
this.
7
No?
et 9 les suivants.
So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have anything else that you would like to say to this wonderful audience? For example, can they already book or have their families book Fairbnbs here in Paris?
Yes, we are present in Paris. We are still we have still low presence, but we are growing here. So yes, they can book here with the platform. So it's just an invitation to join the platform, to travel fair, and to be the change, as we as we say in the platform.
Wonderful. Well, actually, we still have a little bit of time to talk. So,
Okay,
we can improvise a little something.
that's cool.
So I don't know. Actually, that's
Should we sing or something?
we could sing.
I'm not good at that.
But
so.
no, why don't we go a little more maybe into where you would like Fairbnb to keep growing, and what if there are specific areas in the world where you want to grow?
Well, the project, I didn't mention this, no, but the project emerged in a very nice way because, for example, I lived it from Amsterdam. I was living there at that moment, and I was living in myself all the problems of touristification. So we started with this initiative, I personally with a friend there, but then we discovered that other colleagues were doing the same in Venice, were doing the same in Barcelona, were doing the same in Canada also. So we decided to merge all these ideas, create a cooperative, and starting working together. So just to say, we have already presence in quite places, but right now we are focused in Europe. And right now with a strong focus in Italy, France, Spain, Belgium, and also UK. So like this is also an invitation to people, or I don't know if there are public authorities there or entrepreneurs from these places to really join us in doing this. And now we are in a campaign of really looking for fair hosts, for local partners, and for travelers aiming to travel in this way. So really, again, an invitation to register in the platform and join us in this sense.
And so, apart from the rule of having only one host has only one home to offer, are there specific characteristics you need to have in your home in order to be a fair host?
Look, the one host, one home rule is like a proposal we do for local communities in most touristic cities to really avoid the problem of having big multi-owners that at the end can have a negative impact in the housing market. No? So, for example, in Paris, in Venice, in these cities, we have this rule. But at the end, the last word for us is always on hands of the local communities. So, for example, in some rural areas in Spain, they don't think the one host, one home rule makes sense. So there, this is different. But to answer to your question on additional things, this is again defined by the local community. So in every place, it can change. And you can see it in the platform. We have our local community page. So you see there the different rules. And what we are doing now is we have what we call on one side the hard rules. So these things are what you really need to be compliant with the local community rules to enter in the platform. But we are also working now on what we call the regenerative tourism or sustainability rules, which are basically, this is not something compliant, it's like a set of rules that every community creates to promote sustainable practices amongst hosts and travelers. So for example, making sure that there is a good energy or waste management in your house as a host, or that you really are welcoming diversity. All those kind of things are policies that we promote and that we reward also. We are working on this system now through our hosts and also very soon through our travelers. You don't need to travel by plane always, so you don't need, so these things are crucial, no, for us also.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today and for talking to us about Fairbnb. You all now know where to list your home if you want to have people come to your place or if you want to partake in the movement. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And for the next part of our talk, I want us to talk a little more about how we live and what we do when we travel and how we can do that more responsibly. And for that, I'd like to welcome two entrepreneurs, Arthur Le Vaillant, who's the co-founder and chairman of the supervisory board of SAILCOOP, and Ferdinand Martinet, co-founder of Chilowé. So welcome, both of you.
Thanks.
You both are here so we can speak more about how we can live adventures responsibly. And so we'll start with you, Arthur, because as a quick intro, you co-founded SAILCOOP, which allows travelers to book travel that is powered by the wind, so using a fleet of private sailboats that are rented out to their owners, as you would actually rent out a Fairbnb accommodation, right? Yeah. And so you make a perfect transition, actually, with a Fairbnb because you're also a cooperative.
Yeah, we're going to work with Jonathan.
Yes, wonderful. We love seeing cooperations and synergies. And so how does SAILCOOP work to integrate this notion of redistributive and regenerative tourism, especially with communities and professions that are linked to the sea?
Oh, we have to. We launch SAILCOOP with an idea. The first idea is we're all addicts of fossil fuel, and we have to go in rehab. We have to go in rehab because otherwise it will not be possible to live in a sustainable futures. And for that, one of the ideas is to use the wind we have the perfect source of energy to do that. It's a wind. And my job is my job because we launched SAILCOOP, and my job is I'm a sailor, so I cross the sea to try to win race, and the dream of try to put my little world of the offshore sailing to say, okay, what's the mission of my sport, and how we do to be a better human being, and how we do to help society with our knowledge, and we share this idea with different people, like Maxime de Rostolan is a co-founder of SAILCOOP too, and we share this dream to create a new way of traveling. And with SAILCOOP, the idea is not to arrive and to say, okay, we are the master of the world, and we're going to change all the things and everything. The idea is to promote all the initiative already in place, and to work with the local entrepreneur, to work with region, to work with different states in France, and also tomorrow in Europe or in different countries, and to say, okay, we can travel differently. We can put new imaginaries to sail and to stop using motorboat, using plane, using and so yes, the idea is not just SAILCOOP. Is the idea to work with everybody and to create a new way of new way of life by sailing and by traveling by sail. But yes, that I wanted to say that SAILCOOP is we just launched a company. It's a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and the first travel we arrived in a few weeks, and I try to repeat that because we communicate a lot about SAILCOOP. And SAILCOOP is you have to you can be in SAILCOOP. You can take for 10 euros your entry in SAILCOOP, and we need you to imagine, to create a new way of thinking about traveling.
Thank you for this first invitation. So from the sea back to the land. So we speak to Chilowé with you, Ferdinand. So Chilowé is first and foremost a media platform dedicated to offering insights and information on what you've labeled micro-adventures. And it's even now possible to book micro-adventures with you so that we can go on an organized trip to discover things that are close by. So your activity is concentrated around France. So far, so good?
So far, so good.
Okay. And so you've coined this term, micro-adventures, right? But your claim is that these micro-adventures are as exciting and as valuable as the big adventures that we usually think of. So how do you bring people to that realization?
Good question. I grew up watching Commandant Cousteau, Nicolas Hulot, Tintin, and even Mike Horn. And for us, for those guys also, at that time, traveling the world was the unicorn. And this is what we are trying to change. We want to make Jura sexier than Costa Rica. We want to we want to change the way we travel by exploring close to our home, by taking the train, taking a bike, taking a sailing boat to go to the destination. I believe that the journey is the adventure, not the destination. And I'm a big fan of Yvon Chouinard, who is the founder of Patagonia, and he used to say, the way you climb the mountain is more important than reaching the top.
Yep, yeah.
I love it. I mean, so by saying that, what I'm trying to say is no matter what you do, no matter where you go, this is what you do. That is the adventure. An adventure can be a 2 days sailing trip in south of France. It could be a 6 days hike with a donkey in Les Cévennes. It could be paddling the Seine on a stand-up paddleboard. And this is what we've seen at Chilowé when we compare like a big adventure, 2 months in South America doing whatever, maybe when you've been sailing all the universe, etc. Every time we compare to a very small thing we do, we say it's exactly the same in
Ok,
terms,
merci,
I
Arnaud.
mean, it's quite effective. We feel relaxed, we feel happy, proud, reconnected. So that's why I think micro adventure is an adventure, has everything of an adventure, and is a sustainable way to travel.
So it's not so micro in the end.
It's not so what?
Micro.
It can be big adventures, just crossing the south of France, Auvergne and everywhere. You can have big adventure very close to your home and to the way you live.
Arthur is a big sailor. I'm a very ordinary guy. So what for me would be a big adventure, maybe for him will be a small adventure. And that's funny because when you ask, like for example, kid in Paris, what is wild, they will say Bois de Boulogne.
Mm.
If you ask me what is wild in France, I would say the Pyrenees or the Alps. So micro depends who you are. I'm just saying I'm a very normal guy, and I love when ordinary people do extraordinary things. So this guy inspires us to do things, but few of us will do what he does and will travel the oceans.
We try to push more of you to do what we do, but differently, with more times and with more comforts and everything. But it's possible for me to push the way to travel by sail and by train or by bike, and to take more time. And yes, it's completely. But you have to stay focused on. Okay, it's going to be a long journey.
Well, speaking of time, both of your projects promote a new relationship to it, because you are talking about traveling through the power of wind, which takes considerably more time than if you were to go on a motorboat or fly.
Flying.
And the same is for you, is finding also pockets of time that maybe we didn't take time for before, to reconnect with nature and reconnect with our environments. So do you think that in changing how we travel, or thinking about changing how we travel, we actually have to do a whole lifestyle change? And how so?
Yeah, we do. And I just wanted to do a little experience with you guys. So I wrote a little text this morning. And is it okay for you? I will tell you to close your eyes.
We can all do it together.
Yeah? Close your eyes, have a big breath together. So, you just arrived in Marseille by train, of course. It's September. It's Indian summer, L'été indien in French. That's it. You are on board of one of the SAILCOOP sailboats with a friend. You meet other travelers, and you will soon cross to Corsica. The weather forecasts are good, and the skipper do a little briefing with you, security briefing. You hoist the mainsail around the Genoa, and off you go, 6 knots on the road. Some learn to helm with the skipper, others open a book. You will prepare for the coming night. The sun goes down with almost the green light, and one of the crew travelers decides to make tea for everyone. Some go to bed, but you decide to stay on deck, to chat with the skipper. He tells you story of pirates and how to find your way with the stars. And then the dolphin arrived in the night, playing with the bow of the boat. These shapes are incredible, the bioluminescent plankton playing with the shadow of this fabulous mammal. You decide after that to go for a little nap. 6 hours after, so it's a big nap, we are in the early morning, you arrive close to Corsica. Learn in sight, tells the skipper. In the horizon, the mountain, and then the citadel of Calvi, famous for this magnificent party at Tao. You set foot on land, and after 24 hours, disconnected from the world, from the noise of man, and reconnected to the essential to nature, to the magnificent theater offered to us by the sea and its contemplation, you are ready to be in a better shape. And icing of the cake, you haven't understood how the wind works now. So that's it. You can open your eyes, and you can be the next new traveler with SAILCOOP now.
Thank you for that. Yes, I do believe that deserves a clap. So it's easy for you to follow up now, huh?
Yeah, easy. Sounds like a great micro adventure to me. I think your question was about having the time or taking the time, or
Taking
maybe a
the time
lifestyle.
and
Yeah.
lifestyle change.
I have 2 kids. I'm running a company. I am involved in several projects. So we have very little time. And I'm pretty sure every one of you have very little time. So what I'm just saying is that with this very little time, try to do something that really matters. And I am not going to have 3 weeks vacation. I am not going to have like 2 months to do something great. So what I like, and this has changed my life, I mean, is to use this very small slot of time. It could be a weekend, it could be a night, to go and sleep outside, to cross France by bike, etc. Maybe this is what I wanted to say about time. I mean, what we do is taking the time. Again, if you go to course sailing, it will be longer than taking the normal boat. But so you take time. But again, the journey
Yes.
is the adventure, is the
It's-
experience. So at
Yes,
the
it's
end,
what
We have to
just
repeat
said.
that.
Yeah.
The journey is more is as important as the destination. And when we're going to be on the boat, you're going to learn how to play with the sail and with the wind. It's a very it's an art, huh? And so you are going to speak and to learn with the skipper and with the other people on boat how to repair you on the sea by with the stars, with the sun and everything, and we are all completely connected to the world now, everywhere, and so just spending a bit of time on sea or on a mountain, on everywhere, and disconnect a bit from our phone, because it's a bit a nightmare. Huh? We can't live without it. So yes, it's a good respiration, and we have to breathe again, and to breathe again, I think we have to spend more time on the sea, more time in the nature, and we want with SAILCOOP that the people reconnect a bit with nature. I think with Chilowé is the same, and it's a big fight, huh, because we spend all the time completely connected with the screen, with publicity everywhere, and I like this story about that we know more marks, sneakers, everything, Nike and everything, than the name of the bird. You can listen and the nature. It's not possible anymore. I think each child he will learn to them how to hear and to learn how what bird is singing in your garden.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, I love that too, and actually, I think it's a good transition with what I wanted to ask later, because so there's a big educational dimension to what both of you do in terms of learning how the wind works, how the sea works, or learning, what's beautiful, and they're right next to you, and so how, and that's inspiring then the behavioral change in the people that you touch and that you are working with. So how do you measure the impact of what both of you do, both in terms of environmental or social, aspects?
I mean, in terms of numbers, speaking for Chilowé, for example, last year, 1.5 million members of our community found or took an inspiration on our website to like find their next adventure. Last 12 months, 2,000 of them traveled with us. But again, we are very small, so numbers are not very important. But what I love is that every morning when we go to the office and when I open my mailbox, we receive messages from members of our community telling us that last weekend they went from Paris to Chartres by bike with their kids, and they stopped and they slept in a tent. We receive messages from people that are now moving from Paris to another place, that are launching places, hostel, whatever, etc. So the biggest impact we have so far is just I think we put people in a movement of doing things differently, and I'm very proud of that. But again, I'm very also unsatisfied because we are small. Everything takes time and etc. But yeah, this is the way we measure impact today.
And for us, we just launching the company, the cooperative now. So I will tell you a bit more next year when I will come back here for explain the way of.
What's your biggest ambition?
But yeah, but I just tell you another little story. We were in Corsica 2 weeks ago to launch to do a media plan and to with cameraman and everything to do a movie for the company. And we arrived in Calvi, what's fabulous city. Incredible. The last time I do that it was 20 years ago, so I was very emotional to arrive there. And we cross and we arrive, and just in front of us, two people, a woman and her husband, just crossing, do the same travels than us, and they were in a big motorboat, 50 or 60 foot meters. And us, we don't have a lot of wind during the journey, so we put an engine on. SAILCOOP is not perfect. Sometimes we have no wind, so we put a bit the engine on to cross a bit faster because it's always depends on the time. We have some things to do. So we use I think 40 liters of gasoline to travel. And the other guy, they were very nice. It was a Swiss guy who speak a lot, and they cross. We crossed in 24 hours. They crossed in 5 hours, and they consume 1 ton of gasoline for 5 hours. We were 10 on board. So they were 2, and that's it. Just that we can. No, there are thousands and thousands boats like this in the Mediterranean Sea and everywhere in the world. So how we can do to change a little bit of way of traveling and to say, okay, this kind of way of traveling is not possible anymore in the world we want tomorrow. And SAILCOOP is not perfect. Yes, okay, when it's windy, you use your sail and you consume 0 fuel. But when it's not, you consume a little bit to arrive in a bit of time to when you decide at the beginning, and it's better.
Yeah, but it's still a lot less.
Yes,
than
yes, of course, yes. It's when we work a little bit with ADEM, and we just ADEM is a French organization. We contribute to calculate everything to all the traveling and everything, and we are quite at 80% less impact than by using the ferries. And when you travel between Bordeaux to Corsica, so you take a train and after a ferry or after that a sailboat, we are quite at 80% less impacted for Norway, and we have better numbers in a few weeks for you.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing them. And so for the little time that we have left together, I do want to speak about what your dreams are for these 2 companies that you've founded. So you've mentioned that SAILCOOP took its maiden voyage just a few weeks ago, and you can already purchase tickets to go from the south of France to Corsica now. And then Chilowé, so you have about 70,000 subscribers, I believe, to your newsletters. So what's next for both of you?
I mean, for Chilowé, speaking for Chilowé, I believe the micro adventure for us is more than an adventure. And so what we are going to do next is basically go like local farming, agriculture. This is for us a micro adventure. So like we are going to extend the range of what we consider as a micro adventure. And I have maybe one question for you guys today, and that will be a success for me if we achieve it. My first question will be, when is the last time you slept outside, like under the stars or in a tent or on a sailing boat? Or in a cabin or whatever, just ask yourself when is the last time. And sometimes it's long time ago. And I'm just saying that every time I spend time outside, I feel better. The people I am with feel better. So maybe if you guys, after this talk, during the next months, can spend just one night outside, that would be crazy, and I would be happy.
And if you do it, tag ChangeNOW in your Instagram posts so we can see the impact of that.
No, it's for me. We're just launching the company, but you know that 90% of the time of the sailing boats in France, the boats stay in the ports. So one of the ideas of SAILCOOP too is to use the sailing boats that stay in a port a long time, and to use it. For now, we have just one boat. We're going to buy another one, but the idea is to work with the owner of the other boats and to say, okay, guys, we're going to rent your boat for doing travelers to traveling between France to Corsica, but also to cross the Atlantic, also to go with Jonathan in a Spanish country between Barcelona and Valencia to Ibiza. There are a lot of demands for us now, and we try to do faster than we can to explain that we need to be slower.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the both of you, for being here and for sharing your stories with us. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
And so, yes, give them a round of applause. To end our talk today about responsible travel, we are now going to talk to Sebastien Bazin, who is the CEO of Accor.
Bonjour.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. You can sit down on this chair.
I am. You want some water?
Actually, that would be very nice. Thank you.
I'm in the hotel business.
Yes, I can tell. Thank you. And don't forget to take some for yourself.
Don't worry, I won't.
So just as a reminder for our audience, so you are heading the Accor Hotel Group, which represents about 5,300 hotels in about 110 destinations, if I'm correct, and 40 different brands. So the stakes are quite high for a group of your caliber to change gears and drive towards sustainability, right?
Yes, it is.
And so, especially since hotels sometimes can be seen as places where, especially when it's a big group where all of the rooms are the same, maybe it doesn't feel like it's as connected to the territories that they're in. It's a place where you pass by, you go in for a night, you come out. If you have early checkout, you don't necessarily get to see what's around. But when you joined Accor and when you took its head, you introduced this concept of Augmented Hospitality, which on your website, if you read it, mentions that it's about anticipating your client's every need, which can sometimes, at first glance, seem contrary maybe to the sustainability aspect that we imagine. So how do you reconcile those two ideas?
Well, first, it's good to be here with each of you. It's, the world of hospitality has been changing dramatically over the last 50 years. What you said is correct for the first 40 years. So the 1960 to 2000, each of the hotel group, Marriott, Hilton, Accor, Hyatt, have been systematically applying the same lamp, the same color, the same design, the same switch, wherever you would be on the planet. And that was called mass marketing. We've been pushing our brands, and the customers accepted it because it was coherent, because it was safe, and because it worked. And it worked because a lot of the customers did not have any access to make any rational choices, because TripAdvisors, Trivago, all the meta search did not exist at that time. So he was basically pushed by the top to the customers, which is true for many industries, by the way. Then 2000 happened, and all of a sudden you have a lot of new digital tools. And those digital tools gave a lot more information to hundreds of millions of customers. And of course, they've been asking for something rather different whether you are in Nigeria or in Chile or in Sri Lanka or in Bangkok. You of course want to have something which represents the city you want to visit. So all the hotel companies have been trying to shift, moving away from so-called commodity room to trying to make it more localized, which is not easy to do. So then you had another thing coming to us, which is Booking and Expedia came in, also offered a lot of choices in between the brands and probably better pricing at the time. So they were taking customers away from us. So now, and then Airbnb came up 5 years after. That Airbnb guy was not taking commissions away, they were taking clients away from hotel industry. So it's been a big revolution in terms of customer behavior, the way we act, the way we think, and of course the land field with a lot of new players. Now, it's an interesting days because COVID did not change everything, but COVID accelerated everything. There is no question that we have to rethink whether the hospitality industry is destroying the planet by opening so many new hotels every year. Accor, for you to know, we open 1 new hotel per day, so which means 365 new hotels every year. So by definition, when you open a hotel that you've been building 3 years before, you are impacting the destination in when you build a hotel. So that's another shift for up until probably, I would say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, all the large industry, including hospitality, we've been dead wrong. We thought about sustainability by saying there's the cost, it's a constraint, we don't really like it, and we were thinking how could we compensate what we do wrong? So which is a famous credit carbon. You buy a credit, and then you look okay or you feel okay because you actually bought your way through. You have to go exactly the opposite way. Don't look at it as being a constraint, because actually it's not. It's an enormous opportunity to make a difference vis-à-vis your employees, vis-à-vis your customers, vis-à-vis local communities. So the shift, it's simple line, which is not from me. It's come from, you're going to see her tomorrow, the new head of sustainability at Accor, former minister of Macron, Brune Poisson. She's extraordinary. But she's been telling me when she joined a year ago, she said, Sebastien, in your mindset, you have to shift from compensating to contributing. If you only really realize this, then you ask yourself, what do you do for the local community? What do you do for your customers? And the long story short, no question, you're going to have lesser numbers of travel because people are going to use the plane less to protect the planet. But we see it already, you're going to have a length of stay. People are going to stay 1 or 2 days more when they travel away far. So which means if somebody stays 6 days as opposed to 4 days, then you have to think, what do you do for that guest away from the hotel site? And that's called augmented hospitality. That person is very happy to be a caretaker in the hands of the hotel company and basically be his guide, or be his guide through a local guide that you hire. Let that experience people, that client experience architecture, gastronomy, local community, biodiversity. And if you can do that within the hotel and outside the hotel, then I can guarantee you that customer will remember your brand by having been caretakered and having been enriched by discovering somebody else's culture. So it's a shift. The one thing which is very difficult for me is when you open 365 hotels a year, of which probably 100, only a third, thank God, are new built. 2/3 is we're putting our brand on an existing building. But when you do this, you really have to assess. Usually it's on virgin land. It's on a coastline. Are you destroying the coastline? Are you destroying basically the pieces and what's go around it? And do you contribute more to the local community that you take away from the local community? So
And
we
so
can go back on different questions. But that's
nice.
in my mind, it's not an easy assessment because sometimes you believe you're going to be contributing more, but it's actually not true.
And so do you have examples of moments when you had a project and you said, well, no, we're actually going to be destroying, we're not going to do it?
I need to be careful because I have one and I think I'm going to be losing the legal case. It's only 3 months ago. I went to Greece. I went to Athens to open one new called M Gallery in the middle of Athens. And I was there 2 days, and an afternoon, early afternoon, my team asked me to meet with a developer from Mykonos. And he was presenting to me a very large table book, very fancy, elegant, showing the design of 2 hotels, Accor, Raffles and Fairmont, twice 200 rooms. And the guy was showing to me basically the design. We signed with him 3 years ago. I did not really know of it. And the more he was showing me the pages, the more I hated it. I hated the density, I hated the footprint. I needed oxygen. And of course, I'm a bad liar's poker player. So the guy knew I was not too happy. So finally, he said, it seems that I guess you don't like what I'm presenting. I said, sir, I am extremely uncomfortable, not because of what you're presenting, but because of the density and the location. So I said, do you mind if we go to Mykonos now? He said, why? I said, because I need to walk by foot that land. So I went with him. We left 10 minutes after. I went with him, and we walked for 2 hours, between 5 and 7 p.m., and I only been to Mykonos once 20 years ago. I know nothing about Mykonos. And we walked the site, and the site is extraordinary. It's gorgeous, and they had a hill, you have a creek, you have water going down, and it's underdeveloped. And when I walked the site, I told him, I said, sir, you're going to hate me. But the answer is we will never develop 2 hotels here. More so because it was high-end. Guarantee you each room had a different swimming pool. So you're talking 400 swimming pools, private swimming pools, in Mykonos when they have short of water already. So of course, we're trying to settle with him. But then I went to see the mayor of Mykonos the next morning, and I said, sir, I visited the site yesterday. I just want to know what you think of it. And to my surprise, he said, Monsieur Bazin, do you understand that that project's been going on for 4 years? I've never seen anybody from Accor. I said, what? But I was with your friend, the developer. And he said, but I've never met that person. So long story, yes, I'm going to lose a legal case because we signed something we should not have signed. But I felt much happier when I came back, because at least on that site, maybe somebody else would do a hotel. But it should not be Accor, because that's not my values.
Okay. Well, it makes a perfect transition to my next question, because hospitality obviously is a human-centered business.
Yeah.
But yet there is a question that's been raised, for the entire duration of our talk today about how tourism doesn't always contribute to the local community. So we can see now how, one example of how you can work to preserve what's already there and what is the wealth of people there. But what else do you do in order to ensure that?
We do something which I still qualified as a miracle, which has nothing to do with me being at the helm of Accor for the last 9 years, and Accor has been existing for 55 years. So it's been working probably for the last 55 years. The miracle is the following one. I'm telling you, we open 1 hotel a day. 1 hotel a day represents hiring 50,000 new people only to fill up those 365 hotels. But then we have 10% of the workforce who leaves Accor every year. And Accor's workforce is roughly a bit less than 300,000 people. So I have 30,000 people leaving Accor every year. So, which means that every year this company is hiring 80,000 new people. 50 for my new hotel, 30,000 people who left me. The miracle is, and 99% happen to be hotel site, local community in 120 countries. 2/3 of the 80,000 people we hire every year, had no prior job, no prior education, in between 17, 18 years old and 25 or 30 years old. And it works. So the miracle of this company is we give a chance, we take out of poverty local families, helping and basically showing what Accor can do for a person, which is why they leave after 5 years, because they have a better self-esteem, they feel stronger, which is absolutely fine. And I think what Accor has done the best as a miracle for the last 50 years, it works, again, it works in sub-Saharan Africa, it works in South America, it works in Myanmar, it works in some place, whatever you call it, in Korea, in Japan, in Australia. So, yes, I can tell you, I'm blessed and proud of it, but we do so much for the local community. And then you add to this the local procurement, all the food, all the things you need to basically serve your clients. We're making a big push that I want 90% of it to be less than 5 kilometers away. So it's a difficult task because you have to redo it every year. but I can guarantee you, compared to my peers, Marriott, Hilton, Accor is extremely welcome in all the different local communities because of what we do in terms of social elevator and in terms of craftsmanship and in terms of actually access to food and helping suppliers.
And how do you manage to translate this effect that you have also to the guests in terms of making sure that they also get to really take part in the community and in the locales that they're in?
The first thing you have to do is get the guest outside of your hotel. If you go and visit a country, it's not to stay in your hotel, which is what my industry did not understand. We wanted them to be captive. This is foolish and stupid. Just make sure when they come to a place, make sure they go into the local village. They will be guided, and there's nobody better than a guide than the person that just hired from the local community, introducing the family, introducing the craftsmanship, introducing everybody. That's what we do all the time. So what I want you to do, I'm going to be rebounding on something that gentleman said here. And I thought it was extremely interesting. We were talking about time. What do you do in your life to have a better time? There's somebody that one day, if you change now, you need to invite. He's 82 years old. He's probably the person who inspired me the most for the last 9 years. His name is called Joël de René. Joël de René is a futurologist, Paris des Sciences. And that guy, when I was asking him an advice, I said, please help me, Joël, because I am twisted between what I need to do short term and what I need to do long term. And he said to me, Sebastien, the only way you're going to be able to respond to this if you accept there is a third time, which is not the short and the long time. I said, what is it? He said, it's large, le temps large, the broad time. And I said, what is the temps large? And he said, Sebastien, the temps large is all the things you have done in your life that you should be doing even more. He called it my little library. He said, when you go on a boat to Corsica and you look at the stars, when you go and you want to be asleep under the stars, when you meet somebody from a different culture, when you discover an architecture, when you have read a book, all those times that you have spent when you don't have to look at your watch, that time, call it your library, dive into it, retrieve when you need to make a short or long-term decision, make sure you incorporate your library, because that's going to give you a lot of actually strengths on being right on either the decision or the timing of the decision. So anything you can do, exactly what you said, both of you, anything you can do away from looking at your clock, call it your own library. I can tell you it's as valuable as being on time.
And so using this tool of the library, how is that something that you've put into place or that you've introduced to the people that you work with with Accor? Because in the sense that, this deep transformation that you've helmed and are helming still, there are a lot of different stakeholders.
It should start with me. I was reflecting when I just said 2 seconds ago. What he also told me, which I don't do, I do it a little bit. He said to me, Sebastien, I travel 250 days a year. So I'm all over the planet all the time. He said, Sebastien, do yourself a favor. When you go to Warsaw, when you go to New York, when you go to Sri Lanka, any place, take 2 hours for you to go and visit a museum. If you do that on your trip, go alone. Don't need anybody. That's called your library. I've done it maybe 20 times for the last 9 years. So I'm not lecturing you. I'm just telling you, before I talk about what my people should do, I should apply it to myself.
Sure. But there is, what I'm interested in knowing is how do you then share that and bring people onto that same mindset when there are all different kinds of cultures and norms that you're trying to work with when doing that transformation work for your company?
We are here at ChangeNOW Sustainability. I can tell you, which is why I was so happy to come. It starts with my employees. If all of them are pushing me to be ESG impeccable, how do you protect your planet? What do you do for local community? What do you do for diversity, inclusion, underprivileged people? Can we really commit to carbon emission reduction as we did? If I don't do this, they're not going to stay with me, let alone ability to attract anybody. What I want Accor to do, and I'm pushing on it for the last 6 months, and we had 3 hours on it yesterday, could we please say that the hospitality industry is acting for good? Acting for developing a country, developing tourism, developing GDP, developing workforces, discovering another culture. The more you understand, discover the world, the better person you are because you probably understand better. So start with your employees because this is what they want, this is what I need from them. 2, if they embark with you, make sure your clients sees it and prove it. Don't talk about it. Make sure you deploy and execute about it. 3, embark your shareholders, your lenders, which is why we have sustainability bonds, because what you do for the one who works for the second works also for the larger financial community. And all of that, and all of those 3 has to be done into a very disciplined fashion where the CEO, chairman, with my board of directors, you put a plan, you have a trajectory, you have the means, you know the sequence, and then you deploy it. So start with a plan, but the plan is built upon your employees, your client, and your lenders. It works. It works if I accept to switch from what was a cost 3 years ago to what is tomorrow an opportunity. So it's actually not tough to do. But when I'm always smiling when I come to places like this, and I don't see you because I have light here. The first thing which impacts me when I run into that place this morning, I felt I was the oldest. And probably I'm close to be the oldest. And it's in between super annoying and extremely refreshing because you guys are pushing me even further on, being right to my commitment. I have no other choice. This is the best ever endeavor. Plus, it's a fun one. So I don't, I'm embarking. But I need a methodology. If you only do it with words, it's never going to work.
And so from the youth to the, well, I wouldn't say old because I wouldn't say that, but to you, then what maybe we can have another push that we can do is how then do you carry this to the other hospitality big guys in the world, and how does your transformation also translate with theirs?
There's 2 topics. We signed something called Global Sustainability Alliance, which is difficult words. We being Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Intercon, Accor, and probably 20 of the largest hotel company in the world. There's 2 things we need to battle together, and not one against another, because it would be stupid. One, which we haven't talked about, labor shortage. All of you listening to me here, please come and work with us. We have 20% short on labor for this summer. It is, and it's true for the hospital industry, nurses. We need to embark people. Come and work for us for 2 days a week. Come and work for us for 2 months. I need people to service the clients. So on labor shortage, and we're being blind. It's a bit our fault. We probably underpaid the people. We probably had pushed too many constraints, too many weekends, too many sacrifices, too many nights hours. We need to wake up. So on labor shortage, we need to have a common answer in the hospitality sector, regardless which side is coming from whom. Don't take basically the pride about it. And 2, sustainability. Whatever I do well for diversity in Nigeria should be learned from Marriott elsewhere, and whatever Marriott might do in Canada, in America, in Las Vegas, I should know about it because it might work for me in Bangkok. So on those 2 topics, we're going to go much faster together. So shared best ideas, best practices, best experience, we're going to gain 2 to 3 years, and this is a perfect way to endeavor. So it's a global hospitality task. Accor alone will probably get 5 out of 10. So together we'll be probably 7 out of 10. So it's I'm fine. We talked to each other quite a bit. We compete. We just, of course, we want the same client.
Yes.
But it's one of those industries where I'm coming from the financial industry. In the financial industry, you hate each other. You just in my industry now, I have huge respect for the other CEOs. We're very different, but they're very good guys, or women for that matter. So no, it's so. Anybody wants to job this summer, please. Thank you. You've been helping me quite a bit.
Well,
So-
thank you for that, and I hope that we will then, if the other big bosses are also good guys who are dedicated to this, we will also see them
You
commit
should.
to net zero by 2030. Do you think that's going to happen?
It will. We have no choice. All this carbon reduction by 2050, we were the first one to say zero 2050s, then we said minus 46% in 2030. So no, we have no choice. Don't worry, we'll be there probably ahead of time because it's part of our stomach. So again, biggest word from compensating to contributing. I guarantee you, Sereda, I really believe Accor is contributing much more than what we take away, much more. But we need to talk about it for people to understand it and to see it.
Wonderful. Well, this is recorded, so
Okay.
we,
So if you don't want to work for me this summer, obviously you can't. Would you please only go to the Accor hotel brands this summer? So forget Marriott, forget Hilton, forget Intercon. Help me. We
Well-
have 41 brands.
Well,
Merci
thank you so
beaucoup.
much for being here today, and thank you all for coming and for listening to this talk. We're now at the end of time, so I hope that you have been inspired and that you have new solutions that you want to try out this summer for when you're vacationing, or even for your work travel, because a lot of you are from elsewhere. Thank you very much.